We're losing it. We're losing it. It's gonna be.
Oh, this one, this one. Oh!
Maybe a little too much boost.
Yeah.
The path lighting at night, we want that to sort of like be really cool effect and flicker on and that kind of stuff. But the rides are starting to really come together. These are the sort of like polish elements that we're working on.
Yeah, man, that worked.
Oh wow, that actually made it.
But yeah, so you'll notice even the Western wheel, we've gone to the lengths of making sure that every single individual vault is an actual 3D model.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's like that's the sort of technology that we have now. That we can do that stuff and not
Little head chopper there.
process.
Yeah.
And you're using Unity now, right?
Mhm.
What did you use before?
So
Or what was the
And nice
yeah,
braking on the end there.
RCT
Just need 2 seconds.
Oh, you got the whole park already.
I created a small park, just for fun. It's just gonna set up some stuff.
It's fine.
Just have to sort of. You can talk while I sit.
So the park here is not 100% complete. On the contrary, it's just to kind of give us feel to it instead of just an empty sandbox, to give some idea. But eventually, of course, there's going to be restaurants and all of that. So this is just kind of a first little glance at the possibilities.
It's a nice little launch coaster.
Yeah, it's a hyper, but we give you kind of the freedom. So rather than hit a chain or something like that, you can hit boosters right in the front. So you can just kind of have fun with it.
Yeah, the first coaster I built had the little boosters on the helix.
Yeah, absolutely.
It all went to not very good, I'd say.
This is in the shot. Let us know what we're doing. The art is all 4K, right? So it's all super high definition, and it looks great. You may have noticed that even on some of our rides, we're really making sure we pay attention to detail, right? So like you have this extra detail where the power cables, right, and the staff member of the control box, just the bolts on all the different supports and stuff, right? Because we want these rides to feel like they exist in real life, right? We want the player to feel like what they're doing is meaningful, and that the game is reacting to what they're doing, and that they're making choices that affect the peeps, and that they're in this sort of world of RollerCoaster Tycoon. So if Andy starts building here on the right, or straight ahead, you'll notice the terrain deformation. We didn't show any of this on the floor, but you can do it here. So the terrain actually deforms, right, just without any sort of grid. It's pretty cool. We can do that because, like I just said, the grid's been removed from the game. You can go up and down. You can build mountains. You can fill the terrain with water. It doesn't, there are really no sort of limits to that. You can also build paths, right? So the path system, again, no grid. Kim mentioned earlier that there is an on-demand grid if you want to really make sure that everything sort of is straight and perfect, but at the same time, for our more hardcore fans, we want them to have the ability to really edit the park as they want, into whatever sort of degrees or anything they want to.
Will they be able to go underground, the paths?
To go around?
Like underground?
Underground. We're working on tech for that, so as soon as we sort of have some announcements on that, we'll mention it. But in this demo, no.
Yeah, that's fine. That's figures.
It's a good question, but
Yeah, RollerCoaster Tycoon 3, you can go underwater, you can go underground.
Absolutely, yeah, we know. So all the rides, right? There's over 30 different kinds of flat rides, which is certainly a lot, right? Of course, RollerCoaster Tycoon 3 Platinum has 2 expansion packs behind it full of rides, and I'm not concerned we will get there.
Do you think this is like just a really good base to have at this point? Like kind of like
It is a very solid game, right? It is a game that's going to grow with free updates. It's going to grow with DLC, and it's going to grow with expansion packs, right? We want to make sure that we are absolutely giving the fans what they want and need, and that they're getting the value for the game. But our critical focus right now is making sure that we have a really, really solid engine. The game is, next generation, that it looks good, it has a bunch of content in it, and that it's got a nice sort of track forward. for the future, because we've got a bunch of really cool ideas that even the fans haven't thought of yet. So that kind of stuff will happen with time. He's showing you how the rides can take on attributes as you play, because we noticed a bunch of players would play the old games and spend a lot of time theming their different sections of the park, but the peeps never really rewarded you for that because they weren't 100% aware that that's what was happening. And now they are. So if you place a bunch of Western scenery next to a ride, you'll attract Western liking peeps to that area, and they'll start to wear the hats and all that kind of stuff. So it's cool because it'll become more dynamic as you play. The game will sort of shift as you play around. And then if we pan over to the roller coaster, of course you've probably already seen a bunch of the roller coaster building. So I won't get into it too much. I think it'll just be more fun for you to play and ask questions. But there's blueprints. That's what this is. It's a pre-built coaster. There's over 10, or there's 4 track types in the game, because we looked at all the different kinds of coasters out there and we're like, okay, how do we get the most amount of coasters that just really look at what we need to create that. So we landed on 4 track types, and then that gives us 10 coaster types. And each of those coaster types is going to have different themed coasters, right? So you have like the wooden generic coaster, the wooden mine coaster, that kind of stuff. And those will have just designed tracks, right? So that's kind of what you get when you start. And then of course you can build your own with everything. So that's what he's going to do here. He's going to just start with just a hyper coaster, and a generic hyper coaster.
So one thing I noticed is, like, I saw the benches and stuff. They don't look like they're necessarily tied to the paths anymore.
You can put the benches anywhere.
You can put them on the path.
Yeah, but of course on the paths, right? That's how really a peep gets to them.
Yeah.
But there's picnic tables as well, so you can build food courts and things like that.
Will they like walk off the path to use the stuff?
No, they stick to the paths, right? So when you build like a food court, it's an area on paths and things like that. Yeah, and there's different widths of paths.
Oh, okay.
Right now you're only seeing one because it's easier to sort of show everything like this, but there'll be different widths. So that's how you'll have more space to do that kind of
So
stuff.
you'll be able to build like a big plaza.
Yeah. And you can put a bench in the middle of the grass, but it's not really going to sort of serve a purpose other than decoration. And you'll notice the bottom of the coaster grid there is changing colors. That's because the coaster editor is super powerful, and you can really build whatever you want in a shorter amount of time than ever before. You can build a booster track, by the way.
Oh, I am. I'm sorry. You're absolutely right.
But we've added those colors at the bottom for some of the casual players to get like, okay, what happens if the coaster flies off? It might fly off the rails if it's on a red, right? It's just a little bit of a hint guide to make sure that the game remains accessible to everyone. It's not 100% precise because it's still got to be fun in a game, and it's you want to reward the players that really take the time to learn the ins and outs of the physics system. But it definitely helps out, right? And the coaster system has been simplified to just degrees and lengths that we've never seen before. You're able to sit down now and really build cool coasters with a controller in front of the TV. It's kind of a cool experience. So that's kind of what he's just building out a coaster here.
Sorry, I'll hurry up.
No worries.
My bad.
Are you like able like to build like block sections like in the old ones?
You mean like block breaks and
Yeah.
things like that? Of course. Yep.
There's the booster.
So that way you can have multiple cars and trains and
Yeah.
things like that, of course. Yep. We've really tried to make sure that we look at what goes on in a real theme park, and that you're able to do that here. That is our goal, right? To allow you to feel like you're running an actual theme park, but that you're able to do a couple things that probably you would not be able to do in a real theme park.
So if you aim it, since like things you can't do in a theme park, can you aim the track correctly and just like launch it off one end and catch it on the other end?
Oh, you mean like up and back down?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that we've actually tried that yet.
We haven't. I don't
Like
know.
launch a coaster off a track and have it land on another track and see what happens.
No.
I don't think anyone's
We
tried
will
it.
put our QA tester on it.
I mean, in theory,
If you're perfect.
if you're perfect, you would be able to, because the physics engine allows that, but we haven't tested that out yet.
I don't expect that to actually be in the game.
Well, because like
That'd be cool.
it's before the coaster would just fly off the track the moment something
Yeah.
would happen, right, or explode or whatever. Now each individual car inside of the coaster train has physics. So you may have a situation where like part of the coaster flies off the track and the rest of it still stays on the track.
Yeah.
So what you're asking is, in theory, possible. Hey. But you know, we haven't played around with it. But anyways, so that's sort of the demo.
All right.
So you want to get them set up here?
Yes.
Yeah, if you want to play over there, you can play the game.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah.